Yep. Like Joe Friday says, just the facts.
Just the facts. Just the facts, and welcome to Roll for Everett, people. My name is Jason Scranton. I'm here with Joseph Sterling. World-class DMs and players alike. Here to do our monthly DM journal. We're here to talk about the games we've been running and to help catch you up. And this is the session where we cover things for all of those who just don't have the time to watch 2-hour, game session that gets posted once a week. Plus, some of the stuff we're talking about is not even posted. So,
this is the too long didn't read version of YouTube.
That's right. And it's a great way for us to talk about the games we liked and what we did that we liked and what we didn't like and what we're excited about or disappointed about or whatever. Like, this is the raw. And yeah, this is the too long to read version. So Joe, I'm gonna let you take us off here, right? So you've been running Bad Moon for us.
Yeah, it's Bad Moon. I think last time in the last DM journal we went up to Session 3, which I think was pretty much about where we were. We do these once a month.
Yeah, 0 to 3, right? So.
Yeah. So since then, we've gotten up. We just had Session 7 last night. As of the filming of this video, by the time you guys see it, it'll be 3 weeks ago or something. Internet magic, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly. But anyway, so we went into the 4th session, and due to life events, we had actually lost a player, Chuck. He had to step down for different things going on with him there. So the quick answer for that, I didn't want to kill Scored for that chance when Chuck might be able to come back and join us. Previously, they had met a Fae, and the Fae and I was very specific in the language. The Fae said, "May I have your names?" Some of the people didn't even realize it, that he was literally asking if I can have your names. He's not asking for an introduction.
Yeah.
Very specific thing with the Fae and the power of knowing your name. Scored was one of them who gave freely his full name. So when this happened, when we lost the character Scored, the player Chuck, that Fae, Tarantul Danel, showed up and said, "Hey, I own your name, Scored Dromley. You're coming with me, Scored Dromley Ironheart. Or I'm sorry, Dragonheart. I own your name, and I have a favor. I have need of a dwarf." Whoomp. So he took Scored, opened up a door in the middle of the air, and stepped through into the Red Lands, the Lands of Unreason. Yeah. Or what I am using as the Fairyland.
I really enjoyed that part, actually. And that's weird, because it was sad to, lose Chuck, but it was, the way you pulled that off, it was really nice, because some of us hadn't really expected the whole name thing to be so important. And it was ironic, because I had phrased it in such a way that you couldn't take my name.
Yes.
But that wasn't on purpose. That was purely accident. But you were like, ooh, you thwarted me.
Right? Ooh, so clever.
And Damien had given you a name, but you didn't even know that the name he gave you was actually his brother's.
Yes, he gave up his brother's name. But the Fae, he does not realize that yet. Not until he has need of a wizard, and he comes to try and take Minimus. That'll be a whole fun thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you had phrased yours. You had phrased yours, more along the lines of, I am called Elric, which was not like here is my name. So he was like, you're clever. You are wise in the ways of names and such.
Yeah, a total accident. Totally not wise.
Great. And then you guys, continued on. There was the whole prison event where went into Castle Brackenwold. 2 folks snuck in. Etienne and Dust, the characters, they both snuck in while the rest of you stayed behind. I feel like this was Session 3 and we covered that. So we're going to skip ahead because I feel like I've already talked about that. Etienne met his doppelganger or his changeling self in that prison of iron. And Etienne was sadly slain.
Yeah.
I
was trying to rescue him. And it was botched. It was a botched rescue.
So botched.
And I actually am partially to blame because I whipped out my sword and tried to attack the bishop because you told me he was evil.
Yes, so. And that was a fun thing. Because you use the detect good evil spell, and at first it was kind of like looking around the spot, and then I did very specifically let you know that it was kind of radiating off of this bishop.
Yeah.
There wasn't any clues to find out why, but yeah, you struck at him.
Right. And
in the palace.
Yeah, and I was counting on the fact that I knew that this is like your favorite gaming system, and so you're like super comfortable with all of the rules. And I remember reading that this version of Detect Good and Evil, it doesn't actually care whether or not humans are good or evil. What it is looking for are connections to the chaos planes and to like true dimensionally evil things or people who are bound to them. And that's what. Yeah.
Definitely knowing that from the meta side, keep that in mind for the things that will be coming in the future. So yeah, that was a whole real thing. You guys attacked him. You were able to make an escape. Damien's character Minimus used his animated artwork to pull a griffin out of a tapestry.
That was the best.
That was so dope. And at that point, like, because I was kind of prepared. I was like, dang, I think you guys are all pretty much screwed, as all of these guards were going to come descending on you. Then all of a sudden, there's this giant-ass griffin. To me, I was like, I'm not stealing that cool thunder from you guys. Like, that distraction totally works and bought you guys enough time to make the escape.
Yep.
So then you guys made your way back into the woods. You found the refuge of St. Kai, which is, a place for pilgrims, or it used to be a place for pilgrims to stop on the way to the Chapel of St. Clude, which, you guys are starting to learn has been in ruins for like 100 years. It's fallen into disrepair. It has some not so good connotations and elements to it anymore. Like, It has definitely lost its holy status.
And it had like a giant... So, and I thought about that a lot, actually, because I thought about trying to go back there from where we are now, because it had like a giant plant monster that was animated, and part of me was wondering how it got there. Holy ground and everything.
Back at the refuge? Yeah, it's...
Stones left unturned, basically.
Right? There are many of those.
Yeah.
But, those are all like just little nuggets to see what you guys, wanted to nibble at and explore.
Yeah.
So yeah, on your way there, that elf Transildanel showed up and said he wanted to protect his investments. So he basically gave you guys like pass without trace, which let you skirt through, as a whole bunch of guards mounted on horseback went riding up and past. And in that refuge, they had nailed up a what at first was a crude picture of both you and Minimus, because you were the two that escaped that were in there, and it was all labeled as wanted. The Black Cleric and the Mad Mage, or the Mad Wizard. 1,000 silver per wanted dead. And
that was
there was
fair.
this whole
I did
story.
try to kill their bishop.
Yeah, well, there was that whole story. The bishop spun it. And said you guys had actually tried to attack the Duke in the palace, and he selflessly stepped in the way to defend him and was grievously injured. So, like, there was a whole spin that he put on it, and of course people believed him. He's the bishop. You guys are strangers in this land.
Holy crap, what's going on with... Oh, damn it, Joe. You just made me think about a bunch of stuff. Oh, these are the worst.
Right?
This is where I suddenly realizing all the things that were there. But, these are so packed with details and everything. I mean, you're so wrapped up in the story and the momentum of it. It's amazing that all the things that exist in the module in the Dolmenwood that are there that we just sort of aren't seeing because we're so driven on our own little side of the story.
Right.
Okay.
Most certainly. But yeah, you guys met Kreb, a kind of, he was a low-level monster hunter, as it were. He's sprouting hero, so to speak. He's a native of Dolmenwood. He's familiar with a lot of the locales. And you guys got your first glimpse of the map, because he pulled it out when you guys left the next morning and was like, oh, no, we need to go here. And everybody was like, what? So I got to do a fun reveal of showing, here's the whole hex map that we are in for Dolmenwood.
Yeah.
And, you guys made your way to Prigwort. You got unlucky with a chance encounter of what looked like a homeless vagrant on the road. turned out to be some other type of like demi-fae that you probably shouldn't have been nice to, because that was the trigger that turned him into this beast.
Yeah.
And then upon getting to Prigwort, some of my favorite moments happened in Prigwort, which was all leading up to where we're at right now, was you would notice that the posters had changed, that magic was involved, and they were exact replicas. Think Harry Potter as, you get the side view and it turns to the front view, and it was the exact images of you and Minimus, or of Elric and Minimus. And it was like perfect, like masterstroke.
Yeah.
But magic was involved all of a sudden. And there was kind of a split, not a dangerous split the party. You're in a city. And Dust and Minimus, they went off. Minimus, of course, looking for good drink. And Dust wanting to find some other elves to try and track down her character, or her old mentor, Adalshade, which was all tied in. And at this moment, or before I get to that, you, Elric, and new friend Kreb went to the church, and you straight up turned yourself in and said, tomorrow morning when the sun rises, I will step into a pyre and I will let the light prove my innocence. And that was solid fucking gold. It was amazing.
I know, that was so much fun to do, too. I saw my opportunity, because I was sitting there thinking, okay, I am literally taking my charge as... I'm actually playing that character that everybody makes fun of in RPGs. It's sort of like the paladin character is like totally selfless or self-righteous. And I was like, okay, I'm playing the champion of the gods here. I am wanted. Everyone knows that I attacked the bishop. What would I do? And I was like, I think I would just turn myself in and be like, all right, I will be burned at the stake tomorrow.
Prove my innocence, because this is all lies. Right? Yeah, because everybody thinks you attacked the Duke.
Yeah, that was so much fun. That was a lot of fun to roleplay. Really, it was. So,
cool. Yeah, and then at this moment in the campaign, up into 7, sadly we also lost Park playing Dust, but with a newborn child, and also with a move across the country. He didn't think it was fair to, constantly put us at ends of, having to step out of another game and step out of another game. So he has temporarily stepped away. We'll be coming back once things settle down for him.
Yeah.
So I introduced the Maze of the Blue Medusa by having a barmaid say, oh, well, everybody looks past me and I overhear a lot of secret things. Your man Adalshade, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, he came through and he went into that painting. But you have to try and steal it. I overheard them say that. And so Minimus watched as he was being spoken to by his mentor, his mage teacher, his master, I guess, the grandmother Anne.
He role-played all that beautifully, too.
Oh, we
gave him an MVP player moment for all that. That was great.
Right? But yeah, so Dust walked in, retracing Adalshade's steps on that quest to restore the Court of Autumn, which is the noble family, and stepped into a painting. Full meta, straight up Maze of Blue Medusa. So that's on the table if people want to go in.
Yeah, I freaked out a little bit in the chat when I realized that's what it was, because I was like, we're not going in that painting! That painting is death!
Don't do it!
Don't do it! No, seriously though, that is, if you ever get, if anyone listening to this gets a chance to play in the Maze of Blue Medusa, I highly recommend it.
I do it.
Highly recommend buying that book and reading it. It is brilliantly written and
beautifully constructed too.
Beautifully constructed. The PDF is hyperlinked to make it so easy that every room you just click on the room and it takes you to it in the document. It's a work of art, man.
Right. And who knows, if I can get these guys to go that way, you might actually watch it right here in the channel.
Yeah, we'll see.
But then into the kind of pinnacle moment, the next day comes along. Kreb had already started rallying people to your cause. He had somebody set to warn when the bishop was on his way, because word was sent to the bishop that the Black Cleric had turned himself in and was going to burn, and the bishop wanted to ensure that. So here it was the next morning after Elric prayed all night long, so potentially exhausted, but refreshed by the gods, or by the god of the light, because of the devotion. and he strides out as this huge bonfire is lit up, and boom, wouldn't you know it, right at that moment, the bishop and some of his wardens show up, and you selflessly and bravely just walked right into the flame with a successful cast of resist fire, so all that happened was the robes rippled and curled and burned up.
Yeah, I was butt naked. I mean, I literally gave away my sword, and my shield, and my armor, and they gave me like a white robe to wear, and I just like walked straight into the fire.
It was so dope.
Well, I did some grandstanding, of course, but it was a super awesome moment.
Totally. I mean, it's a perfect moment to grandstand. Yeah. I mean, Kreb did a little more grandstanding. Minimus did a little grandstanding. But yeah, then with the bishop there, he most certainly from GM side, he knew you had cast resist fire, so he used some of his wizardry because he was not actually a cleric and he never had been. He has a major touch of the demonic. He used a hold person spell and critted on it, so your 3 rounds of resist fire were now almost a little moot as he was clutching you and holding you in place with that hold person spell for the next 14 rounds on that crit, because we're doubling those things.
Right.
Which was potentially
was that 14?
Yeah, it was 14 with the double.
Oh, man. Good thing I had Dispel Magic up my sleeve.
Right? And then we also learned of another danger, that somebody had sabotaged this pyre, and there were explosives that had caught fire and started sparking, and they exploded out. Thankfully, they did not drop you, but I mean, they took like a half a chunk of your HP out. So, I mean, that concussive force.
Yeah, and I'm still only at half my health. I mean, that drops me halfway.
Yeah. And then, the fight ensued, and Minimus pulling out nuggets of gold from his spellbook. I had completely forgotten he had a polymorph other, and he turned the bishop to stone. He made his successful cast. The bishop failed his save. That was that. The bishop turned to stone. Like, 5-hit dice creature. Or bad guy. Whoop,
and you handled that so gracefully. We talked about this slightly earlier tonight because I don't know. I think if I was in your shoes, I might have plot armored him, but you didn't. You just like let it happen, and it completely worked out and made the whole thing sink.
Yeah, so it was such an epic moment. It was one of those things again, like it was such a brilliant idea, an option that I hadn't considered. I didn't want to nerf the awesomeness. And there were still, like, those wardens to deal with, which fighting with the rest of those, you quickly learned that they were just animated armors, but they all had this strange little gem. With the hype that you guys had gotten to the crowd and them all swaying onto your side, they started ripping apart one of the suits of armor as well. So you guys were all, like, totally bundled up into awesomeness, and that's pretty much where we ended the scene with the friars coming out and bestowing Elric with a major relic of their church, the bones from the hand of Saint Wayland, the patron of their temple, and that's where we called the end of that night.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. It was epicness, guys.
Yeah, that was an amazing set of events and stuff. Yeah,
I was enamored. You guys blow my mind every week.
Yeah. And just so everyone knows, that was running with Lamentations of the Flame Princess.
Yep.
That entire thing. And
with the weird magic rules.
Yeah, with the weird magic rules.
We're using weird magic. So that's why he's now a 3rd level wizard. He has spells ranging from like 1st to 8th level.
Yeah. And some of you may have noticed that like the kind of game that Joe is just describing, that is not a storyboarded, casual, like 3 rooms in your one and done, traditional ICRPG style game, right? Like that was this was very much like we told Joe, like this is what's happening next, sort of game. Like I'm turning myself in and I'm going to be burned at the stake, like.
And I have to tell you, from the Game Master's side, when the player says, I'm turning myself in and I volunteer to be burned at the stake, like, I was just like, oh, num, 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 num.
I know, right?
Oh, num, 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 num.
But the whole campaign has been like that. And I gotta tell you, not everybody enjoys that sort of game. That is that sort of sandboxy and open. But it has been so much fun to play in. And there has been such a deep level of story coming out of it that I love it. Like we lost 2 of our players, and all 3 of us that are left were like, yeah, we want to keep going. You know, and we are going to be recruiting some more people, but by the time you see this, it'll probably already be done. You know, to come and join us. But like that is the beauty of this game.
And this is your friend, the Notebook.
Yeah,
it's probably all blurred out, but the Notebook is your friend. Like anytime they bring something up, you'll see notes scribbled everywhere, because every time they're talking, they're like, oh, like just the other night or just last night, there was the, you know, oh well, they took my family's land to build the Castle Brackenwold. That came from Crab, and I was like, oh,
yeah, Gary Craig's character just sort of spat that out.
That's important stuff for me to know.
Yeah.
Now I get to play with that. Like, why did that happen? How did that happen?
Yeah.
Wow, that was a long time ago. Who was his family before this? It's like so many nuggets, and I write all of that down because I can use all of that to put right back into the story, so that everything stays very, very player centric. That all of these stories happening around and throughout the whole world all still have that main focus on the heroes of our tale.
Yeah.
And that to me is important.
It's beautiful. It's I have not played in a campaign this good, and I honestly can't say. I mean, I honestly, like, the last time that I played in a campaign that I really thought was this good may have been playing with Alex Alvarez and his Aliens game. You know, I mean, it's a different kind of game, right? It's totally different worlds of gameplay and styles. You know, I can't express that enough. So, because that's what I'm going to talk about next, right? I'm going to talk about my Barrowmaze games. And we're going to do a whole set of videos after we're finished with Lamentations of the Flame Princess during our Talking Heads sessions. We're going to do a whole set on the system that I'm using for this, which is Five Torches Deep.
Yes.
And it is amazing. But again...
And it works really well with the way you're running Barrowmaze. When you pulled in this, you know, we're going to do a drop in and drop out, which kind of like gives me like those like video game players, you know, player 2 has entered the game.
It is.
Player 2 has left the game.
Unapologetically.
Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, unapologetically, like, I try to be really upfront with everybody because I don't want anyone to have a bad experience. So part of that is making sure everyone knows who joins. Like, this is not a campaign. Yep. I am not running a campaign. This is the Barrowmaze setting. This is a Westmarch style game. Players can come and go as they choose. It does not matter. It doesn't matter. And you would probably think, well, that probably doesn't sound very fun at all, or like, you know, there's not going to be any story to it. But the way that I have constructed it using the tools that come from Five Torches Deep, from Barrowmaze, and a shit ton of collected quests from over the years, it has worked out really well. And so this is the style of the game. So everybody joins every week. I throw out an invite, and the first 5 to sort of hop in there, get in there, and I am giving preference to people who've been in there before. So if you don't see an invite go up, it's because I literally have more people that want to attend than I can manage to run for. So, right. I don't know. We're going to have to start running it twice a week or something.
Right. Might have to.
Yeah, might have to.
I just want to add real quick. This is all through, you know, our RFE Discord. You know, if you keep your language clean and you're not a dick, you know, I hate to put that out, but if you come in with like some nastiness, you're not going to get a good reception, and you won't have a good time if you come in as a nasty person.
You will be permabanned.
Right down in the description, we've got our, you know, the RFP Discord's there, and you know, come jump in a Barrowmaze game with us. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's a good plug. I because it's true, and so guys, the way that this is being run is that I wanted to put this kind of game together because I read a couple of months back. I read this great book, which is very short, very small, written by DiceGeeks.com. They have a book they put out called No Prep Game Master. And when I read this book, I first thought, this is bullshit. No one can run this kind of game. I even asked some of the other YouTube personalities that I know about, like, running with no prep, and they were all like, that's insane. That's scary. Like, let's not do that. But the truth is that I told everyone when I started this, I was like, this is an experiment. I'm doing no prep. I have and let me qualify that no prep game mastering. I have done setting prep at the very, very start, where I laid out, like, here's the map of Barrow Maze, here's the map of the town, here are the NPCs in it, you know, like little index cards with their stuff. But that was it. After that, I literally have, like, and I have, like, an image that I drew up that it's like a job board, and I draw from a deck of cards random quests, and I post them on the job board. You know, so the players come out, they start every game, they wake up, it's morning, they've got quests on the job board, and there's, like, the town map here and the hex map next to it, and then I show them all that, and then they decide what's going to happen next.
And I have to say, from the player side, when that job board comes up, like, just the thought, I mean, because, like, you can almost, like, see it in your mind, like, on the tavern, there's just this big old board where people are nailing up, you know, I need this, this is offered. Like, from the player side, when we all get to look at that, we're, like, looking, going, like, whoa, okay, like, I like to look at that, you know, that really fits with something my character would do. And everybody's kind of doing that, and then there's, like, that moment of, like, hey, look, you know, we've journeyed before, you're new, like, we'll help you with your thing, you help us with our thing. And we kind of pick which ones, like, I guess, like, the most interesting, or which few are all kind of going to the same place.
Yeah.
And then we just go out and try to tackle. But that job board thing is so much fun.
Yeah.
To kind of be like, ooh, like, I want to check that out.
Yeah. And Five Torches Deep is the glue that makes this all possible, I feel like. Because the system itself, it lays out very specific rules for tracking time. And in this game, time is a major factor, right? Characters all have what they call a resilience score, and it's based on the raw score that you roll with 3d6 of your constitution. And for every hour of adventure that goes on, you lose a resilience point, or major event that could cause you to lose a resilience point. And when you run out of that, like, you're so exhausted you barely can move, and so if you're not in a safe place, you're dead.
Yeah.
You know, you're dead.
You're going to collapse from exhaustion and, you know, kind of lost to the elements unless somebody has enough load to pick up and carry you back.
Right. And it's
hours, which is going to start chewing their resilience.
Yeah, or you start consuming your supplies to try and restore your resilience. But if you run out of supplies, you're dead. I mean, there's so many facets to this, which is really interesting, that Five Torches Deep provides this framework where you have all these sort of resources that are dwindling down as you play, and it doesn't matter what you're doing, they're dwindling down, so you need to find the gold, get back to safety, and turn it in, right? And that is the only way to gain experience points. And I wasn't doing that exactly right to start with, but I don't think it would have been that much different in terms of the length of time. Like, out of 5 games, we finally had a character reach level 2.
Yeah.
You know, so real slow.
But he's also the only guy that has lived through all that. Way to go, Jimmy.
Way to go, Jimmy. Yeah. Dennis, awesome player. And I have to, and I got to tell you too, because I think that we should mention that, right? So we played 5 games and we've had 10 deaths.
Yep. Yep. Now the cool thing, the way you're running it with this drop in, drop out, and the story is kind of what we make it, and everybody is kind of telling their own story as they go. So, like, we've got the character Jimmy, the one who has survived this whole time.
Yeah, he's all, like shell shocked and he's like, no, fuck the spiders, we're not going to the forest.
Right?
You know?
I won't go north again, because he went up there and everybody died but him.
Right.
In that one barrow, everybody died but him. Like, oh man.
Yeah.
I had a character that died. Like, my character's story, first guy died. My first elf died. Elven mage, Nyx. Then his brother, or no, I'm sorry, it was
How
Nox.
did you die? People need to hear this, Joe. How did you die?
So Nox died running away from giant spiders. He was he was completely head was bitten off, goop was spraying out, spiders were laid inside him. And He was food. He was one of Jimmy's companions.
And all the load of this, guys, is all handled by, and it's amazing, because, like, literally, like, the last time we played, there were, like, 2 adventures in a row. They went out, they completed a quest, came back, turned it in, went out a second time, all in the same game session, yes. Because of how much stuff gets translated just into the rule set. Like, the chasing he's talking about, it's literally down to a dex roll, like, per travel turn while you're running away, or, to break free of the spiders. And the only reason he really died instantly is because all the other players left him behind.
I rolled really bad, too.
Yeah.
And he had so few hit points left. I mean, he didn't have a lot to start with, but he was not going to make it.
Yeah.
So his brother Nyx, because that was Nox. His brother Nyx, who is a elven zealot, came in complaining about, I told him he should have stayed in the library. He was going to die out here.
Yeah.
Nyx is much more capable, and he stuck around. He survived an entire adventure.
Yeah. And, oh god. So the last thing I want to say about this module that we're playing and the rule set we're using is that I can't express how grateful I am to have 5 Torches Deep in my hands, because it makes this sort of game style possible, right? Because if you're always starting back at the town, like, what do you do if the players are stuck out in the wilderness? It has rules. It actually has rules that describe, like, so traveling home, for every travel turn it takes to get home, which is like through the swampy hexes is like 2 travel turns per, or it would have been 4 to get to the Barrow Maze, unless you've got a guide, then it's like 2. You roll a d20, and then, like, there's a target based on the travel turns, and depending on how low you roll is how much damage you might take, or how many items you might lose in the process to get home. Right. If you roll above, you're safe.
Yeah, that return roll really makes it kind of easy. It's like
it streamlines it. It's just like straight up. Here it is.
Yeah. End of the session. We got to get back to town.
Yeah.
Or even if you don't want to play that whole road, the whole journey.
Yeah, and it's you only take damage if you're actually returning in, like, a dangerous way. And that the spiders was actually a good example of that one, because I don't think that was the chase rolls we were using. I think it was the return roll.
Yeah. I rolled so low.
You rolled so low. And so it was like, okay, here's like 10 d6s worth of damage,
Yeah. The minimum damage I could have taken if they all rolled ones was like 3 times my hit points already.
Yeah, he was screwed.
But I actually have a question for you.
Okay, all right.
So, because you're running the Barrow Maze and you're using the 5 Torches Deep, how is that? Because I know there's got to be just like maybe a touch of conversion here and there. How is it from the GM side, like using Barrow Maze with the 5 Torches Deep system?
There's virtually no conversion at all.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So here is the magic of 5 Torches. So 1, I'm using the 5th edition release of Barrow Maze.
Uh-huh.
So all the creatures rolls are all statted to match the math, the game math of 5th edition, right? And so 5 Torches Deep, characters have a lot less hit points. It's definitely designed to be more of an OSR style game, so it is more dangerous. Obviously, we've had many deaths. And part of that is because there's no way to, like, magically just heal yourself all back up to full health all the time. There is a class, the Zealot, who can heal if they take that first level spell, but for one, it's fucking dangerous. If they fail their spell roll, they roll on the misfortune table that could include... Yeah, like nuclear bomb. Like, everybody could die if you screw this up. So, the only time that like, when you were playing your healer league, the only time you're willing to heal is, like, when it was, like, absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
And that's a
Thank
beautiful
God it's
thing.
a first level spell and it's only difficulty 11.
Yeah. I mean,
but still, like, hitting 11 every time. That's tough.
Yeah. It does use, but it does use 5th edition math, right? So, the bonuses, the hit bonuses are quite a bit higher than what you might find in an OD&D game like Lamentations of Flame Princess. But because they are equal, you can take content and monsters from 5th edition, drop them straight into your game, and all you have to do is cut the monster's hit points in half.
That's beautiful.
That's it. That's the only conversion that I do, and it has worked pretty much in every encounter. Like, we actually had a pretty long, drawn-out battle. We had, like, two battles. We had 2 significant battles in our last game, which you guys won, but they were your thing, and it all involved in those monsters. I mean, it was straight up, rolled manually to determine how many monsters there were, pulled them straight out of the 5th edition, monster manual, hit points in half.
Nice.
We're playing on Roll20, so I do have the advantage here of macro tokens and all that stuff, and I don't actually have to look things up. It's all pretty much like fingertips, which is nice.
Right. Yeah, and Five Torches really is kind of like, if the OSR and 5th edition D&D had a baby.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, Joe, you taught me a really neat trick, which we should touch on in a different video, because it's starting to get a little long, but that if I didn't have the 5th edition one, all I need to do is, when I'm creating the monster and I decide how many hit die it is, that the same number of hit die is the amount of bonus the monster should get.
Right, the modifier.
Right. And if you think about...
It goes easy.
Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense, right? Because, and I was thinking about that afterwards, I was like, oh my god, that actually is the perfect way to do it. And all you need to do to drop it into 5th edition, because that's a very much OSR and ODD way of looking at it, because then you probably only have like +2 or 3 or 4 at the most. In 5th edition, the numbers tend to be a lot higher. The bonuses to hit tend to be a lot higher. And I think all you have to do is take the proficiency modifier of, the average proficiency modifier of your party, so it's like +2, or +3 or whatever, and just add that to that number, and you probably would have your plus to hit.
Yeah, right?
Almost every time,
And I do also want to point out, if you're curious about, getting a deeper look into Five Torches Deep, go check out Ben Milton at the Questing Beast. He's recently done a review of it. You can check that out, or jumping into RFE and come check it out. Play a game with us. Yeah,
absolutely. And
just, like Will Wheaton says, don't be a dick.
Yeah, Professor Dungeon Master also did an outstanding review of it.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
that's right.
So it's all over the place. Love it.
Right, love you, Professor.
Yeah, love it, awesome Professor. So I mean, this has been like a labor of love for me, and it's all a combination of the no prep game mastering theories that I read and started applying. I was like, oh my god, this is actually working. And then the Five Torches rule set, and then Barrow Maze, because it is a very complete mega dungeon setting, which helps too. And it would not be possible with all of those pieces. So I'm really very grateful, because it has given me my life back in many ways. Like, I'm all excited about running Barrow Maze this Saturday, and the truth is that, like, there's nothing for me to prep.
Yeah. Yeah,
Zero.
That gives you so much time back when you're not spending, 4 days prepping for the 1 day a game, for the couple hours of game.
There's no prep. There's nothing. I mean, there's nothing. I've had a couple of like weird Insomniac moments where I'll log into my game server and I'll like pull it up and I'll look at it and I'm like, what can I do to kind of help get ready? And then I look around and I go, absolutely nothing. All right, well,
right,
close it and put it away. Because I don't have, we have to do a bunch of sessions. We gotta tell people about how to do no prep, or at least talk about how we do it.
Right. As Bad Moon, I'm kind of running no prep. Like,
exactly, like the same thing.
I know the world. I have all the notes from you guys, and session to session, I'm just like, what are they going to do now? Okay, cool. I'll think about that for next week.
And the big difference is there, like, we have like a concurrent thread of story amongst all of us.
Yep.
Whereas on the Barrow Maze side, like, you might have a story that you know about because it's the sessions you've attended, but it's very much different for everybody else. There's no centralized story to it. I guess there's kind of a story built into the setting itself and what's causing the Barrow Maze to be what it is.
Right. It's like, what do they call it? The West March style campaign?
Yeah.
where lots of people involved, but only a few at a time. It's like the West Mazes. There we go.
Yes. That's what we should call it, the West Mazes. Oh.
They are to the west.
Yeah, so...
Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Bad Moon and Barrow Maze, folks.
Yep. And I cannot recommend enough all the stuff we've talked about tonight. Check out Lamentations of the Flame Princess. Check out Five Torches Deep. They're different rule systems for different kinds of games. Don't be afraid to lock yourself into one rule system. Kind of explore and enjoy the fact that some rule systems are better at doing different games than others.
Yes.
And No Prep Game Master, check out DiceGeeks.com. They have a ton of roll table books that are just, oh my god, so useful.
Roll tables are your friends.
Yep. And check out Gillespie's Barrow Maze. If you don't have a copy of it, you're missing out. It's one of the best constructed, old school Renaissance style dungeon books that you'll ever find. And I say old school Renaissance, but I just said there's a 5th edition version of it, and it plays just as well for that. Guarantee it.
Yes.
So, absolutely love it. Alright, this has been fun, Joe.
Oh, it's been awesome.
Yep.
It's been awesome. A little longer video, but you know what? Double on the topics. We did a Bad Moon and a Barrow Maze, so that's just a badass time.
It's been good. It's been real good.
It's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, good night, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Night, folks. Thanks. Bye. Like, comment, and subscribe.
What Joe said. I forgot all that stuff. YouTube things. Do YouTube things.
Do the things. You know the things to do. Just do them.
They matter.
They
matter.